Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Great. Um, I'm Danny Chang. I work at GIPHY, head up sports partnerships. And thank you all for sticking around. I know this is the last panel, but we'll be talking a little bit about sports marketing and the future of it, and we'll see. Maybe we'll not talk about that and talk about other things. Anyway, we have some great people. I Zoomed with all of them and vetted them personally, and they're all excellent. But I'm going to let them introduce themselves. Maybe we can start with you, Eric, and then make our way down.
Yeah, hi, good to see everybody. Eric Dickens, I'm the Chief Marketing Officer of LA Golf. LA Golf makes the most technologically advanced putter in the game of golf. We also have a golf ball that has the longest distance on it. And we also are the leader in shafts for your golf clubs, with some other products coming out here in the future.
All right, well, I'll go next. Hello, everyone. I am a global marketing executive, and I am super excited to be here with you guys today. I've had about 20 years to really hone my superpower, which I call strategic brand building. And I have had a lot of fun doing it. I've been able to build and shape many top global brands. And I've been able to do that for brands or companies such as Unilever, Mars Wrigley, and J&J. And it's been fantastic. And so, when I think about sort of my marketing philosophy, I'll just kind of share with you just what gives me sort of that tick. It really is about relentlessly, pursuing that consumer of yours and delighting them at every twist and turn. And so that's a little bit about me and what brings me joy and what gets me super excited about the work that I do. And personally, I am married with children, and my family and I live in New Jersey. So thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here with you guys.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jessamyn Myers, and I am here from Oakley. So I handle all things retail marketing. So anything that is tied to our physical brick and mortar stores in the US and Canada. I've been with the brand for a little over 6 years, and I've been in New York for, I think it's like going on almost 14 years now. So love my time here and excited to be here with everyone today.
Hello, last but not least, Peter Spartin. I head up commercial strategy for the Aston Martin Formula One team here in the United States. I've been with the team since its inception, going on about 4 years now. It's a relatively new team in the Formula One, although it's a well-known brand on the car side. Prior to this, I was in European football, and before that, advertising and other marketing roles on the brand side.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm just going to dive right into this. So can you guys kind of tell me, thinking about like, since the beginning of this year, late last year, what have been some of like your favorite sports marketing moments so far that you've either worked on or you've seen? And anyone can jump in.
Yeah, so I'll start. At the Masters this year, we had our partner Bryson DeChambeau do quite well during the entire tournament, which is always good. Rather than starting off strong and kind of like fading out, he actually did well during the entire tournament. And he was playing LA Golf shafts on his irons the entire time. And then beyond that, he was getting a lot of attention on his irons because he actually makes his own iron heads, and so that was getting a lot more publicity than we were anticipating, and actually ended up doing a great job for us.
Sure. So I don't know. I'll give a little context here. So Formula One has this year 24 races across the globe, and I mentioned we're a relatively new team. We have the luxury, I guess, of taking an approach, and we're trying to make it in our way, typically an exclusive sport, much more inclusive. But when it comes with 800 or almost 800 million fans across the globe, there's a little bit of everything. And when we go to these various race locations, we like to engage in the local culture and the local environment. and pick out some way to sort of be present there and activate and actually bring in these fans to co-create with us. So for example, just last week in Miami, we took an art sort of view and did a bunch of things in the Miami market around art. In China, a couple weeks back, it was about cultures. But at the beginning of the season, it starts early March. The second race was in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Our title sponsor, Aramco, is out of Riyadh there. And right leading up to International Women's Day, we took the opportunity alongside our partners to help them promote karting, especially for young women talent, and get them involved. So there was a sort of STEM karting initiative there. And we went ahead and did our first activation with a Formula One car in the streets, similar to maybe what you had seen in York with Mercedes last week. But what we did is we put our female driver ambassador, Jess Hawkins, and she's the first one to have driven in a Formula One car in the last 5 years. And she's now also the first one to have driven the latest iteration of the cars, and the only woman to have done that. And what we did is we put her through a big shopping center in the middle of Riyadh, closed it down, drove all around, got her engaged with the audience. So I thought it was a pretty special moment, especially in that part of the world, and given that women couldn't drive there, 5 years ago. So, yeah.
Do you want to?
Yeah, sure. Just to piggyback quickly off of the F1 train, I'll talk about one of our partner brands. I thought they had a really cool activation. It was the Ray-Ban and Meta like go-kart experience. And I don't know if you saw it on social media, but it looked pretty cool. It was a really awesome sunglass silhouette that you could basically see you couldn't miss it. And there were some go-kart experiences that went around, and just a really cool way to tie in the Ray-Ban and Meta and then their F1 partnership as well. So not Oakley, but another one of our sister brands, and something that I thought was cool that happened recently.
And Danny, I think that's a really excellent question, and maybe I'll just offer a different perspective on this. I think sports, which is interesting, similar to fashion and music and food, it really does drive culture. And in fact, it is culture, right? And so a lot of people, a lot of brands want to be in that space. And I think it's really critical as we, as marketers and brands, really think about the reason that we're activating in this space and if it truly makes sense, right? And that starts by getting some serious clarity on what the job is that you want your brand to do. Who do you want it to talk to and why? And that really helps sort of serve as a compass and guide sort of the decisions that you make, and honestly allows you to show up in a very authentic and credible way with that consumer that you're speaking to. So that's, there's a lot of great work out there, and there's some work that makes you go, I'm not quite sure. So I think that's where you get really super clear on your why. And if sports is where you want to be, I think that really lands to a really nice result and outcome for the brands.
Great. I think let's look forward a little bit to what's going on the rest of this year. So obviously there's a lot of big sports moments going on, kind of spearheaded by the Olympics in the summer, and then obviously all of the normal big Super Bowls and all that stuff. But can you guys maybe tell me a little bit more about what are some of these events that you're specifically looking forward to, and what sort of brand activations you expect to see there? And once again, feel free to talk about anything that you're specifically working on, because that's really interesting. But yeah.
Yeah, so in golf, the Live tournament is going to Nashville in June, and we're really looking forward to that. Bryson, one of our lead partners, as well as Dustin Johnson, are both playing in that tournament. And it's a completely different type of golf experience than what we've become accustomed to with the PGA. And they're playing more tournaments here in the US. This is the first time they're playing in Nashville. And that's one we're really looking forward to. There's an opportunity for different types of brand sponsors for that type of event. Music is such an important part of Live. It'd be a great opportunity for JBL to participate. It's not something you would typically associate with PGA golf, but Live golf, it absolutely would be a fit.
For us at Oakley, we're looking forward to a certain big games this summer in Paris. And really for us, we're taking the opportunity to use the platform to really tell our story through the lens of our athletes. So I think, it's about the product, it's about how we're showing up there. But most importantly, just like really leveraging our athlete partners to help us tell that story. So that's more what's happening kind of on that global level. On a local level, we're really taking the cues from those games and establishing a way to cut through in the local community near where we have stores. So for that one, we're pairing up with USA Skate. We're bringing in some of their athletes and we're doing a multi-city tour in 3 of our big markets. So we'll be showing up at some of our Oakley retail stores with those athletes. They'll be doing a fireside that ties back to how they're getting ready for the big games this summer. And then we'll be amplifying that content through TikTok and other social channels as well. As for us at retail, like really important for us to drive traffic and to build connections with the local community. And what better moment to do that than through what's happening in the sport world this summer.
I'll keep it a little light. I think from a personal standpoint, I grew up in Europe, so I'm looking forward to the Euros, another tournament this summer in Europe going on. That's quite big every 4 years. But kind of going back to work mode, the F1 is exploding in the United States and North America, as many of you probably have heard. We just had the 3rd race in Miami now, 3rd year that it's going, and I was totally blown away by how much they progress from year one. And they, it's very Miami, but they really do a good job at that. So I think what I'm looking forward to is actually the 2nd race in Las Vegas at the end of the year. So I'm curious how they're going to top what they did the first year. It went pretty smoothly, and it was pretty impressive. So thank you. I am looking forward to that.
Awesome. Sorry, Desi, did you want to talk about, okay, all right, we'll move on. So you all work with athletes in some regard, in your respective roles. Sorry. Can you talk to me a little bit, like, how do you leverage these athletes, right? They're obviously, like, they have their own brand. You see them on, the court or the pitch or whatever it is. How do you utilize them to really promote your brand and make it something that's like mutually beneficial to both you and the athlete?
Yeah, I'm happy to start. So on Degree, hopefully many of you guys are familiar with the Degree deodorant brand, and maybe there's some users. Oh, I see a user in the back. Very good. I didn't plant her either. So, but no, Degree, our sweet spot is sports, right? And if you think about it, sports and that athlete makes a ton of sense, right? Because they are moving intensely, they are sweating, they are, obviously odor is of concern. And if they can put on that right deodorant that gives them the confidence to continue to focus on their craft and their sport, then it's a win. If it works for them, then obviously it can work for all of us. So sports is huge for us. And we tend to use and leverage athletes as brand ambassadors, and we do it in several ways. One of the first ways we do it is through product and innovation, right? So you will see certain athletes on our deodorants, for an example, right? You may see FIFA or a particular sport or a league on our deodorant, right? So you'll see it in those ways, and it'll be through a limited edition. We also use the brand ambassadors as influencers, so they become the voice of our brand, right? They also provide personal stories that then inspire other people in terms of what they've done, what they've been able to accomplish. And so that would be the second way. And then lastly, we use them in activations, in ways in which we engage with our consumers. And I'll give you an example, with the Neil athletes. Actually, we had March Madness. We did what we called a campaign. It was walk-ons. And if you guys know, during March Madness, right, I mean, the people who are getting all of the celebration and the noise and the fanfare, or the big schools and the big players. And we really wanted to focus on the walk-ons who come every day, bringing their passion to the sport, and they show up. And so we wanted to give flowers to them. And we chose Neil athletes that were actually working through a bit of adversity in their story. So we had one player who's 5'3". You may not typically look at her as a basketball player, right? But she is doing her thing. She's amazing. She's getting 10 minutes on the court in terms of play time, but we wanted to celebrate her. And, we did this for we chose 5 different students to be sort of highlighted, and we gave them $25,000 in scholarships and made sure they were present surround sound in the whole campaign. So those are a few ways in which we use, and leverage our athletes, but mainly as brand ambassadors, but you can see the different ways in which we make it work.
That's great. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think for us, it also ties back to product. And a lot of, if not all of our products are really built with our athletes in mind. And sometimes we even bring them into the design process to make sure that we're hitting the mark when it comes to putting something out there that they are naturally going to want to wear to help them in their sport. So a product that we launched earlier this year, leading up to the Olympics, the Sphera and by Sphera product. It's all about opening up your line of sight so that you can see better in your sport. And as that product was being created, we actually met with different athletes and asked for feedback, like what are they looking for? What would they like to see? And not only male, but also female athletes too, which is really great in terms of the representation piece, and then use that feedback to help curate our products. Other times, we will partner with our athletes on a product. So we have a signature series product that we've done with a few different athletes. We have one for Patrick Mahomes. We have the Kylian Mbappe, which I'm wearing now. And most recently, we have our Kylian Mbappe latch panel, which is our main hero style in the campaign that's live right now. And that is really about leveraging the partnerships with the athletes to help amplify a message. But again, it goes back to that authenticity. It's product that they would wear either in their sport or as they're preparing for their sport. So I think lots of synergies there. And then of course, once you have that natural piece and that if the product is right, then the rest comes. They're going to want to share it on social. They're going to want to wear it when they're, off the field as well. And you just really have to build that authenticity by offering a product that works for them.
Yeah, and I think Eric, can you talk a little bit about how you get athletes involved too?
Yeah, so in addition to using them for likeness and content, our athletes do help design the products. And it's really important, especially in golf and especially for our brand, athlete usage on tour and athlete endorsement of the product is second only to performance quality of product in golf. So having the athletes not only involved in the design process, but also being involved early on whenever a product's designed or manufactured, they pressure test the product before we finish it and send it to market.
Awesome.
I was gonna answer in a sort of 2 ways, actually, but distinctly that we do it. We have our own athletes, our 2 drivers. We also have our driver squad and ambassadors, so we leverage them a lot, and they have a considerable social following. And with F1 and the teams, we own the IP rights to our drivers and them, so it adds up and it's useful because we could do pretty cool things together with our brands. We also have 800 people back in the UK, so we leverage a lot of our staff. Our CTO, for example, is kind of become a star in the B2B community. She goes out there with some of our partners to conferences and such and so on and so forth. So it's not athletes in traditional sense when it comes to our team. But F1 is a global marketing platform, and our sponsors, our partners are very near and dear to us. So we leverage this platform for them. So for example, since Oakley's here, I got some insight. We had Aaron Jones, an Oakley ambassador, visit our garage and our setup this past weekend in Miami. They brought in some winner of a competition. They did some gift exchange with one of our drivers, and we also leveraged our other partnership with TikTok to cross-pollinate and resonate sort of those messages across not only our platforms, but third parties as well. So 2 ways to look at it, I guess, from our perspective.
Cool. Those are the Mbappe glasses?
Yeah, the Kylian Mbappe signature
Nice.
series. Mm-hmm.
They're cool. I want
And clear.
some. Yeah. So I think let me ask Eric this, and then everyone else can sort of chime in, because me and Eric we're talking a little bit about how LA Golf, the audience, and how you see them engage with the brand. A lot of people who are wearing the apparel, they're not golfers. They don't care about golf, right? Can you talk a little bit more about these interesting ways that you're seeing I mean, maybe that specific way, but maybe some other ways too, that you're seeing the audience engage with the brand?
Yeah, so LA Golf's unique. It's very LA, very Hollywood. There's a lot of style that goes along with the brand and a coolness factor that goes along with the brand in addition to the technology and performance. But we have apparel, and many of the people who buy our apparel don't play golf, don't watch golf, don't care about golf. They just like the hats, or they like the hoodies, or they like the other apparel that we sell. So it's a really fascinating engagement of people who follow and participate in LA Golf, where we obviously have golfers who use the product and play golf and engage with us that way. But we also have people who engage with the brand that don't watch golf, don't care to play golf. They just like the brand.
Well, is that kind of like what like Supreme did with like skateboarding? And do you see that becoming, I don't know, are these hype beasts, or are they,
We haven't quite figured it out yet. We oftentimes assume that they know somebody from the company, and 100% of the time the answer is no. So, if you figure it out, let me know. We haven't figured it out yet. But we have an incredibly engaged consumer base and fan base.
Send me some merch and I'll test it out. Any other ways that anyone else has seen, like, just interesting, weird, different ways that people are engaging with the brand that like was either unexpected or you haven't really seen in the past?
I mean, I think a lot, like same sort of a thing goes for us. Like there's people, we serve athletes, and that athlete, that contender that really wears the Oakley products in every sport that they do and in their craft. But then you also see people wearing a sport Sutro, big oversized frame, walking down the street just because they think it's cool. And I think that's a really cool intersection of like that sport and culture. And it also shows that what you're putting out there is sticking when it starts to just be picked up. And same goes for if there's celebrities wearing your product, or we have a famous singer that wears one of our older styles, and it's just so interesting to me. I'm like, wow, that's great that you think that that's cool, and keep on doing it, But I think there's some really cool synergies there as well.
Great. I kind of want to bring this home a little bit, kind of, but also look once again to the future. But what do you hope, like, rest of this year, 2025, years beyond that, if we're still here? What do you hope changes, or what are some trends you would want to see, just based on like your experience with sports marketing and like working with different audiences? It might be something that annoys you. It could be something that you've seen works really well. Like, what are some things that you hope to see?
Let's see, what would I hope to see? I would say, so here's a thought on that. And it's not just limited to sports marketing, but I think it's marketing on a whole. And I think we as marketers have a tremendous amount of power to really influence in a positive way. And I'd like to see a lot of brands really stand up and be a force for good, right? And I think, it obviously takes a little bit of work in terms of crafting sort of what your North Star is and what that is for you, but creating sort of a heart for your brand, a purpose for your brand that allows you to have a catalyst in which you can now converse with consumers in a very authentic and credible way. And I think that's really, really key. And we took a little bit of time on Degree to figure out what that was for us, but we ended up getting to a really nice place. And our purpose is all around inspiring confidence in everyone to move more. And what I'd love for you guys to hold on to are two words, and everyone being everyone. So no matter what your race, your gender, your age, your ability, your socioeconomic status or religion, you should feel the freedom to move however you want and whenever you want, right? And it's funny because I would say a lot of Americans, almost 50%, actually don't move because of fear of judgment. And so there is space to do more good in that area, right? And so we've used that as a catalyst for different brand activations and different ways in which we connect with our consumers. And it's been tremendously effective. So I think we have a lot of power in that space as marketers, and I really hope that all of us take advantage of that. And so that's a trend that I really do wish would move forward.
For me, I know this isn't the first time we've heard this today, but I'll keep it short and sweet. I would love to see more representation in sport, particularly among female. And I think one thing that we've been talking a lot about at Oakley and have started to work towards is expanding who we're targeting and who we're partnering with across diamond sports and then also now football as well. So really starting to think about how we can include softball, fast pitch, flag football, tackle, and like really, really expand that targeting a bit to make sure that we're producing a product, but also catering to that female and youth population as well.
Hard to follow some of those, but I talk and I've written a little bit about the growth of the sport of F1 here in the United States and how it kind of compares to other opportunities out there for marketers or fans and so on and so forth. So I think naturally I would say I want to see how sort of see the continued growth of the sport here in the United States. But I think in particular, kind of relating back to the commentary, F1 just launched the F1 Academy, all women's driving series, and that has taken off quite well so far this year. So I really am looking forward to how it goes into next year to achieve their goals and see how that will sort of become just sort of part of the overall sport, not really the male female, but just part of F1 and unified. And don't really know how the fans are picking this up. I mean, I hear positive things, but one positive sign I see personally is we do have a lot of brands coming to us to talk, to ask about it and learn more about it and get involved in it. So I'm hopeful for that over the next year.
Thank you all. It's my job to keep us on time. We have a hard out at 5. The wine has already been opened. So thank you so much for wrapping this incredible day of engaging and networking. It's fantastic. Thank you.